Clemson's putting all of its focus on a 2026 running back. If he commits, it's a big win. If he doesn't, they might be scrambling. We'll talk about it all right here on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of this show, part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're new to the show, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you're an everydayer, thank you for returning. You know how we do it here. Exclusive Clemson content all throughout the week. And don't forget, in between episodes, you can follow me over on X at The Morgan T Show. We can talk about all things Clemson whenever you want. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Clemson's 2026 recruiting class has shaped up to be one of the best in the country, and at this point, probably going to hold true and stay up there in one of the best in the country. But it's missing one major piece that they're still trying to go after and get, and it all revolves around the position of running back and running back coach CJ Spiller. What will happen? What will go on? Who will they end up getting? A lot of questions still out there. The Tigers and a lot of Clemson fans have yet to see any commitment for the running back position, but all eyes are on four-star running back Jae Lamar out of Colquitt County, Georgia. He's visited Clemson twice back in the spring, and he came during a visit weekend. He is set to announce his commitment June 25th. So just at the end of this month, just 13 days from now. But Georgia, Miami, Florida State are all heavily in the picture. If you read anything out there, Yahoo Sports and UGA Wire just came out a few hours ago and said it's a done deal. He's going to the Dogs, which, you know, no shock to any of us in the Tiger world, because they seem to get everybody. And, you know, it's really more of a shock if he doesn't go to Georgia. But Clemson really is putting all of its focus on Jae Lamar right now. Will it work out for them? Will it help them at the end of this month land a commitment? If they land him, I mean, 2026 not only stays one of the best, but I mean, is probably one of the best classes Dabo Swinney's ever had. If they don't, they may be skipping running back altogether, which seems a little scary to say because we've seen that in the past, and it causes some depth problems if you're not careful. But they'll be definitely playing catch up late in the cycle with, to me, I don't know what their clear next plan will be. Now, when I go back and I look at Jae Lamar, he is absolutely the real deal. 6 foot, 205 pounds, explosive, versatile, already has 30 plus offers, ranked as the number 11 running back in the country by 24/7 Sports, and has dominated high school, even though he's missed a few years for some off-the-field issues. He is one of the most talented running backs in the country. When you go and look at his film on huddle.com, it's almost crazy how fast his feet move, his legs move, how difficult it is to tackle him, and how he just gets immediate separation. He goes from 0 miles an hour to 1,000 miles an hour in a split second. And he's got, when you talk about motor, a high motor, when you talk about that in a figurative way, I guess, the literal representation of that is Jae Lamar. When you go look at his film, It's almost as if he is revving up 3,000 RPM from the very beginning. Clemson's options, though, outside of Lamar seem kind of thin. Another guy they were talking to, Carson Baker, canceled his visit to Clemson. Devon Mallory committed to Miami. And so not really thinking he's going to flip. CJ Givers, they haven't offered him. Jalen Terry's been on campus a couple of times, but I haven't really heard much about that either. If Lamar commits to Georgia, then I'm curious to see what CJ Spiller will do. Because, you know, he may have already moved on, honestly. You know, 2026 seems to kind of, if it is shut down, it may have already been shut down and we just aren't ready to admit it yet, because he's going hard after 2027 four-star in-state guy Trey Segura. And also I'm hearing that he's entertaining Michael Martin, 2028 guy. So those guys are the class of the future, but future meaning 2-3 years down the road. Lamar is more of a present guy. The Tigers need a present guy now to keep the depth going and to have a good rotation, because as we saw with Phil Maffa, I don't like Clemson when they only have one dog, you know, because it seems as if they just use that one guy over way too much. Now, some will say that Clemson tries to get an advantage, having a small recruiting board, developing deep relationships. But in a situation like this, where you have one guy left on the board, really legit guy that we know of, and he goes immediately to Georgia, this may be a scenario where you have to go to the portal. But my answer to that would be probably not. If Gideon Davidson is what we think he is, and we know that Eziomume is doing better, Jay Haynes will be recovering another year from his injury, Clemson still has a good stable there to be able to represent and rotate properly. So if Davidson is what we think he is, you're not going to go into the transfer portal for a starting running back, because Gideon Davidson will be that guy. My prediction in the past podcasts have been Adam Randall will start and then slowly work their way into Gideon Davidson. But I can understand where it gets a little bit frustrating when you don't have anybody coming back, or you're not bringing any fresh faces to the group. One injury, one miss at a recruiting, and then your depth is busted. So I think Clemson's not going to need to dip into the running back portal by any means. Maybe this is a year where they can go all or nothing, because they like the stable they have for 2026, even without him. But 2027 is definitely a year where you don't want to go bust and have nothing. And that's why CJ Spiller is focusing on kind of a skip year. Go all in on Lamar, make him your main focus. If he still loves Georgia, then it is what it is. But if he doesn't, then it's a great pickup and could make you have one of the best recruiting classes of Dabo Swinney era. If he doesn't commit, then you go to Trey Segura and see what you can do with the in-state guy. Circle it on your calendar, June 25th. Will Trey Lamar put on a Clemson hat? Let me know in the comments, or message me over on X at the Morgan T Show. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Joey O'Brien, big time guy from up north, and my thoughts on him. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their absolute mind. And it is the kind of atmosphere that you've got to experience live. And this year's matchups are already delivering big time. If you want in, there's not many games left. We're in the finals. It's OKC. It's the Pacers. Game Time will help you, and it'll make it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest finals games. Prices on the app actually drop as you get closer to tip-off. And with killer last-minute deals and even panoramic seat views, they also have no surprise fees. Game Time is becoming a total game changer. I was just at a game recently and was looking on the app to try to see what else I could do. They have these things called zone deals where they're offering 10% off specific zones. It is really awesome. You can get 10% off exclusive zone deals for FIFA World Cup matchups as well. And I love that you can see your view wherever you're sitting right before you buy. No surprises at all. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. O'Brien is a 5-star safety from LaSalle College High School in Pennsylvania. He's 6'4", 185, and ranked 30th overall by 24/7 Sports, the number one player out of the state of Pennsylvania. And he is down to 4 finalists right now, nationally recognized finalists: Clemson, home state guy, Penn State, and Oregon and Notre Dame. And he will announce his commitment a few days earlier than Jae Lamar on June the 20th. Now, Clemson has hosted him for an official visit, and now they are really in the hunt. If Clemson lands O'Brien, they'll have one of the best young safeties in the country, and that is amazing for what Tom Allen wants to continue to build, because this guy, when I look at what he can do, he is so versatile. He reminds me of a guy that Clemson got last season as a freshman. O'Brien is a two-way star. He's elite. Last year, he had 36 tackles, 13 pass breakups, 1 interception, and on offense, 68 catches for over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. Again, he's 6'4". He doesn't just play safety. He plays wide receiver, outside wide receiver. He doesn't just play outside wide receiver. He can match up one-on-one on the outside as a lockdown corner. He's an absolute ball hawk. He has receiver-type hands. There's multiple film of him catching the ball with one hand, one-on-one coverage, and he has elite-level IQ. This guy isn't just a pretend 5-star guy that's only good at camps. This guy is good. And when I watch film of him, I think of him as a safety version of Sammy Brown. You remember how Sammy Brown was so good at running back and at linebacker? Well, you need an elite athlete that is going to play in the secondary. And Joey O'Brien is that two-way star with the elite athletic ability and instincts and IQ. He is everything you would want and more. And the reason why Clemson is even in the mix is because of Tom Allen. Tom Allen is that secret weapon. O'Brien was originally offered by Allen while at Penn State and when he was the defensive coordinator there. So there is a relationship that was already built up before the move to Clemson. It might help Clemson have a little bit more of an edge over his home state team. I got to like the chances that the Tigers have. And when I look at the message boards out there, it looks a lot like a lot of the fans out there really, really want O'Brien. Now, the safety room looks really good so far. But why stop with Contavious Anderson and Caden Gephardt? You've got 2 legit 4-star athletes in there. But you're not going to turn down a guy like Joey O'Brien. He is the hybrid piece that could play that Tiger position, that nickel position, that rover. He is an absolute nightmare matchup for offenses. When I look at him in high school, it's just odd to see film of a guy who is 6'4" playing cornerback and 6'4" going in on tackles, stopping the run, stopping the outside passes, stopping the short flats, but also playing that typical safety position. He's so tall, so long. And then he has that overall athletic ability to turn it around and play on the wide receiver role where he's got more than 1,000 yards receiving. So he's a big-time two-way star. And he could add to this group of guys that are the new guys that are coming in to make the secondary one of the most feared in the country. If Tom Allen truly is going to get Clemson back to the elite days of defense, these guys could be the guys of the future that would solidify that. And yes, I get it. Penn State is close to home. There's no reason why he wouldn't pick Penn State. I would probably pick my home state team as well. He's got Notre Dame and Oregon too, both big-time defensive back and secondary traditional schools that have had success moving guys into the NFL. But so has Clemson. Clemson competes up there with the best of the best at getting defensive players into the NFL, getting anybody into the NFL for that matter. Maybe, just maybe, Tom Allen's relationship and the defensive scheme and that long-term development that they have together could be that final pushover to carry Clemson through and to win the day on June 20th. This could be another big win for Clemson in the Northeast and really help, again, solidify that Clemson has an elite or maybe one of the best of Dabo Swinney's era in 2026. It is really crazy to think that of all the years, a year after they've kind of struggled, they've had a couple of years of what we would say for Dabo down years, which really for most coaches would be great years. But they are really carrying this momentum from making the playoffs into a huge recruiting class. It would be a big win for the Tigers. They are a big brand. They're focused and serious on the best players across the country. And they are going to develop first-round draft talent because they have. June 20th is coming really fast. And Clemson fans, again, I want you to circle June 25th for Lamar. I want you to circle June 20th for Joey O'Brien. The Tigers have put themselves in a great spot, and they're just a few days away, just 8 days away from seeing if they can land Joey O'Brien. It won't just be a win. It'll make them have one of the best classes that Dabo Swinney has ever. Again, you heard me right. Ever had. I appreciate everyone being a part of the show. If you're over in the comments, I like to get back to you on YouTube. So please put in the comments. Let me know what you think about these two guys that we've talked about before in the comments, because I want to talk to you. If you're listening over on podcasts, don't forget to follow me over on X at The Morgan T Show. You can message me. You can comment on one of my posts, whatever it may be. I'd love to talk to you about Clemson as we continue to build towards 2025, the season that I think Clemson may be able to go to the national championship. And that's what we'll talk about here in segment 3. The Clemson's path to the playoff is wide open, but there's one guy that must deliver in order to make it true. ESPN's FPI gives Clemson a 47.3% shot at making it to the college football playoffs and a 6.8% chance to make it to the national championship game and a 2.8% chance of winning it all. Vegas puts their odds at minus 130. This team has a ton of talent that we love to brag about here on this show. A lot of depth, the most returning players, starting lineup, and snaps in the country. And with the favorable 12-team format the way it is right now, everything shapes up to be an amazing season for Clemson to get through their season, even though there are some difficult games in there, get through the regular season, into the ACC championship, and then ultimately to the playoffs, and then hopefully to a national championship game. But to me, with all the talent around, it hinges around one guy. And that one guy is under center, and that is Cade Klubnik. This is Cade Klubnik's time. It is his team. He is the leader. He has all the pieces around him, both on and off the field. If Cade Klubnik rises to the occasion, as Cade rises to the sky, Clemson rises to the sky. If Cade doesn't or is not able to do that, even Tom Allen or some of the best guys on the defense, I don't think will be good enough to get them through. They can't have Cade be just serviceable. They can't have Cade be just an average quarterback. It will not be enough. Is Cade that? I don't think so. I think Cade is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, the best quarterback in the ACC, and he is now veteran enough and with a great head on his shoulders, a great family, great support staff, great players around him to be able to take Clemson back to the promised land and hoist up another national championship. The defense, as we know and we believe, they are playoff ready right now. Peter Woods is coming back, and he'll be, in my opinion, a first-round draft pick. TJ Parker leading the way as well with the best defensive line in the country. Another, in my opinion, first-round draft pick. Adding in Tom Allen to the mix with his leadership style, his scheming, aggression, his ability to be, and proof that he is a head coach himself. Clemson's defense is going to be absolutely nasty. You are not going to want to see them out on the field across from you. It is not going to be a good day. They have the depth, they have the leadership, and they have the support staff to be one of the best, most disruptive defenses in the country. I expect nothing less from the defensive unit. The offense also has all the pieces they need. Cade Klubnik has elite receivers, Bryant Wesco, TJ Moore, Antonio Williams, Tyler Brown, strong guys in the wide receiver core, and Tristan Smith coming in as a transfer portal guy for an outside threat. They have a tenured and cohesive offensive line that only lost one to the NFL. And so they'll be returning a lot of experience. And even guys that are going to replace Marcus Tate are guys that have had plenty of experience at the left guard position and at other positions. And add to that the staff and support staff of Garrett Riley and his system, with Dabo Swinney allowing him to take control of calling the plays and tailoring everything to exactly the unit that he has. TCU did not have as many talented players as what Clemson has right now, and one of the best quarterbacks in the country. The biggest concern that we have, and we still have, is running back. It is unproven. Clemson is going to need Cade Klubnik to make that difference at times in running the ball with his feet. He's going to have to make smart decisions to keep plays alive, keep drives alive, and make explosive plays with his arm, but also with his legs. He's proven that he's gotten better at running the ball year over year. And I think if Adam Randall and Gideon Davidson and David Eziomume settle in, then maybe Cade doesn't have to carry that burden as much. But he will have to be a running quarterback, as Clemson's success has revolved around having a running quarterback. The schedule is tough. LSU, they've already come out and said the Clemson game is circled. They used to not talk about the opening game or circle it at all, but they've lost 3 opening games under Brian Kelly. All 3 of them. They're 0-3. And so they need to figure out what they're going to do to win this game. LSU is going to come in with a fire and a chip to prove that they aren't 0-4 in opening games. Now, this one's going to be more difficult for them because they have to come to Clemson, and they don't get a neutral site game as many of the SEC teams out there get. So it won't be a walk in the park for Brian Kelly, and he knows what Clemson's all about. But still a difficult matchup to start out the gate. Not only at the beginning of the season, but at the end of the season, you have South Carolina, which Clemson seems to can't get out of their own way. They're a much better team. Even the years that they're losing, they're a much better team, but they can't seem to get out of their own way. South Carolina is going to want to stop their losing streak at home against Clemson, so they have a lot of purpose as well. Louisville, also a lot of purpose against Clemson. They want to show and be the upset king out there on a Friday night at their house. But even with a couple of slip-ups, we know that the 12-team playoff allows for a little bit of mistake, a little bit of breathing room. You don't want to rely on another team like you did last year, though. I don't want to see Clemson going back through this process of hoping that Syracuse or someone beats a better team, a team in front of you, so you can get into the ACC championship game. Clemson doesn't have to be perfect with their schedule, but they need to win the games that matter the most. And I think Cade Klubnik needs it most of all, to be able to prove that he can be a big game winner as well. They need to grow up and get ready and be ready, grow fast, build together quickly, start out the gate strong, and peak at the end of the season right when they need to. They don't need to struggle to finish. Cade Klubnik has shown a ability to grow in his poise over time. He's gotten better in high pressure situations. He needs to be able to win those big games. LSU, South Carolina, the ACC championship game. We know he can win the ACC championship game, but he's going to have to beat SMU again, and Syracuse as a payback game as well, and Louisville on a Friday night. The most difficult games of the schedule last season were lost. That can't be the way this season and still get into the playoffs, I don't think. This is Clemson's shot to prove that they once again belong in the national championship title scene. The ACC, there is a path with the ACC. The playoffs, there is a path there, as we've seen. This year matters for Cade Klubnik and everybody that's come back and everybody that has worked and built their way up to where they are now. This could help get Clemson back into that national championship elite perception. It could get them back into recruiting momentum and continue that momentum that they have right now, and Dabo back up to being the best coach in college football. The odds, the schedule, the talent, they all stack up. Can Cade Klubnik take him to the promised land? This is his season to do it, and this is the last chance he'll get. All right, I appreciate everyone being a part of the show. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. For your second listen, don't forget to check out Brian Smith over at The Portal Show. He has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. You can be the most informed fan of the rapid changes to college football and the landscape. Find The Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, Tiger fans, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for making Locked On Clemson, again, part of your regular listening throughout the week. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.